talking about sacred relationship, and I have a little story to start. And just in case you think that your relationships may be a little complicated, consider this. There was a marriage mayhem was created when 76-year-old Bill Baker of London recently wed Edna Harvey. Now, Edna Harvey happened to be the granddaughter, his granddaughter's husband's mother. Okay? All right, so Bill Baker married his granddaughter's husband's mother. All right, so that's where it goes. So that's where the confusion began, according to Baker's granddaughter, Lynn. She said, "My mother-in-law is now my step-grandmother. My grandfather is now my step-father-in-law. My mom is my sister-in-law. And my brother is my nephew. But even crazier is that I'm now married to my uncle and my own children are my cousins." And so from this experience, Lynn is going to gain profound insight into the theory of relativity. All right, so relationship. Here we are on Valentine's week. And, some might call this a Hallmark holiday and some rail against it. We've all got that girlfriend who wears black with big boots and throws an anti-Valentine's Day, an anti-VD Day party, right? We all know that person, and I do because I used to be that person. I was the one who hated Valentine's Day. I was the one who was like, and it wasn't just because I was single. It wasn't just because I was single. But it was because I thought that it was a fake holiday. I thought that, they're just trying to make money and get them to buy flowers and chocolate, and I'll still buy the chocolate, but I'm not buying cards, and I'm not doing that. That's crazy, And, my younger days, how funny we get. But what I realized is that with experience and with growth, I started to realize that there may be a little bit more to this than just that crazy Hallmark holiday, that idea. I began to realize that we're all at choice in our lives, and then I saw a quote by Einstein, and Einstein's quote says that there is only two ways to live your life, as though nothing is a miracle, or as though everything is a miracle, and that was it. That quote struck me so much in my head. When I read it, I already had replaced the word miracle with sacred. So, there are two ways to live your life, as though nothing is sacred, or as though everything is sacred. And so that's where my path started, and everything changed from that. I started to see that life wasn't just a grouping of random experiences. We're not just in the bumper cars at the carnival bumping up against each other randomly, and maybe we'll bump or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll be nice to each other, maybe we won't. I realized that life was spiritual, that all of life was spiritual, and that each and every part of it, that there's nothing profane, there's nothing secular. We can talk about the secular and the spiritual, but the truth is that everything really is spiritual, because everything can guide our souls to wake up, right? And so our work path, our work life is a path to God. Our leisure and our hobbies, those are paths to God. And our relationships, never mind your significant relationships, we're talking family, significant other, but, and I may focus a little bit today on that one-on-one sacred relationship that we commit to, but I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about all of the close relationships in our life. Our relationships are the master's degree of unfolding of our path to God, of our spiritual life. Being in relationship and committing to it, being present with it, and allowing it to be that sacred unfolding tool for us is, let's call it a doctorate. Because you know what? It feels like it. It's hard sometimes. It's not the easiest path. But it's one of the most rewarding ones. Our relationships are very important in our lives. According to Dr. Bernie Siegel, he says this. He found out that single men are jailed more often, earn less, have more illnesses, and die at a younger age than married men. Married men with cancer live 20% longer than single men with the same cancer. Women who often have more close friendships than men survive longer. And married or not, what happens is relationships keep us alive. They're important to us. And so because of this, because we have this great opportunity, it's important for us to realize that our relationships are a sacred path for us. That being in relationship supports us in understanding who we are in a very deep way. And so a sacred relationship is a relationship in which we're inspired to see the divine in the other person. Now, not all relationships can support us in following the sacred path. It's up to us. We could go through this life and just try and have our relationship be what we think it's supposed to be, that we get along okay, and they do what I want them to do enough, and I do what they want me to do enough, and we kind of get along, and that's great, and we just have it be that way. And a lot of us get stuck in moments in our relationships that way, don't we? But the truth is that we have a great opportunity. Something happens, it's almost like a portal opens. Like a portal opens, and we have a choice to walk the sacred path in our relationship or not. And if we take that chance, if we say yes, if you take that step through that and say, I am willing to allow this relationship to transform me, to support me in becoming who I was meant to be, then something happens. It shifts. It becomes about a deeper experience. And so it's about seeing the sacred in the other person. We allow the relationship to guide. I liked how this was put. This is from Deepak Chopra. We allow the relationship to guide the growth and expansion of our souls. See, most people think that the goal of a relationship is for it to be easy, right? It's for it to be easy, for it to feel good, for our needs to be met through it. And on some level, some of that is true. It is true that we'd like that. That would be a nice thing. But as a path to God, as a sacred journey, our relationships are pathways to our own understanding of ourselves. That's why it takes so much work. We need to be clear. We need to open to the messages about ourselves that are being relayed. We become ready for the experience of a sacred relationship only when we awaken to the sacredness within ourselves. When you come to realize that you're not just a body. When you come to realize that this life is not just a series of random experiences and unfoldments. When you realize that there's a purpose for your being, then you can start to realize that everything contributes to that. Everything supports us in unfolding. And our relationships in particular are opportunities for us to be fully aware of who we are. Remember, we're talking about love this month as that powerful force, and our lives is the mirror of who we are and what we're here to do and to experience. And most of it is because we are that fullness of love. I loved the reading that Stacy did today from the book this week. And it's so key to this because what happens is so many are on a search for love, right? We're socialized into that. We're socialized into waiting and hoping for that princess or that prince that's going to show up and be the answer to all of our needs. Well, that's not how it works, right? And when they show up, they come riding in on that white horse. What's going to happen? They're going to sweep us off our feet. We move into that bliss of falling in love stage, and it's going to be like that forever. And then it's so great. Then they're just going to complete me. They're going to give everything that I need, and I'm going to have everything. And it reminds me of that Jerry Maguire movie. And if you've been here for any time, you know I hate it. Right? I love that movie, but I can't love that movie because that whole you complete me thing is a load, I'm sorry to say it, it's a load of crap. I have to say it that way, I'm sorry. It's a load of baloney. It's a load of crap. Nothing outside of you is going to complete you. And so often we think we're taught that that's what's going to happen. You're going to grow up, you're going to meet a man, you're going to get married, you're going to have babies, it's going to be perfect. That's what the message I was brought up with, you know. And I realized very quickly, well, wait a minute, where is he? You know? And wait a minute, what does it say about me that I'm not okay in me? Because for those of us who waited a little bit longer to get married, okay, I'll share my experience. For those of us who waited, I waited till my 30s to get married. There's a whole lot of, like, wait a minute, I'm coming into my own, but I'm not complete because I got a man. Is that how that works? It's like, wait a minute. No, that's not true. You know, I woke up to that truth and realized I got to do my work. I have to figure out who I am. And so as I figured out who I was and then I was ready, we do the work we need to do to be ready for the prince to show up, or the princess, right? Like, I have to be who I want to be able to have the kind of relationship I'm wanting to have. I can't want a fabulous, awakened, spiritual, mystical union with somebody if I'm not doing my work. If I'm walking around waiting for someone else to complete me. Those two things don't work. They don't match. They don't hook up. And so that makes sense to me why we have so many challenges in relationship. Because we have all of these expectations, we have all of these ideas, we have all of this pressure that we put on the other person without telling them what we want, right? We put the pressure on them completing us, we put the pressure on them being perfect partners. Of course you should be my perfect partner, don't you know what I want? No, right? Never mind the pressure of being somebody else's one and only. Holy moly, that scares the crap. You know, like, so the fact that we are all in relationship anyways is a testament to our spirits, because we have the courage to step beyond our fears, the courage to step beyond our past experiences, and the willingness to be present with someone. If you can be vulnerable in your heart with someone and connect on that deep level, I give you a pat on the back, I give you chocolate, you can have a second one. Because I know that it's not easy. But when we're willing, again, remember, a lot of this year is about being willing. When we're willing to allow what's happening in our life to guide and support the growth and expansion of our souls, then we can start. Then we can start to make something magical. Then we can start to make something real. We allow the fullness of who we are to come from within ourselves. We have to be that full presence. We have to know who we are in order to be able to be in relationship and have it be that beautiful, blissful experience. In order to see it, we need to be it. And so we see sacredness when we're embodying sacredness. We see wholeness and love and fulfillment and completion when we're embodying these qualities ourselves. And you know what? We see limitation, competition, and contempt when we're in separation, when we're embodying separation. You see through the eyes of what you are. And so the more committed you are to connecting with your inner sacredness, to that spirit that you are, and the more willing you are to be present, then we can allow our relationships to be reflections and the path of the growing edge, right? Our growing edge of our souls is shown in our relationship because our beloveds are reflections of us. We call them in to be that beautiful mirror to show us. And so that's great, that's amazing, and it's really hard. It's really hard sometimes because when our partners are experiencing some jealousy, right? We got to look at the reflection of why that is. When there's when we're really mad at our partner because they're not doing what we want them to do, you know, we have to be present with what's really bothering us. When we're feeling unloved or not supported, it's really not about what the other person is doing or not doing. It's where am I not communicating what my needs are, or where am I not taking care of myself? And so the best gift in relationship can be when we take responsibility. And okay, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to invoke my new religion of dirty dancing, where the part where Patrick Swayze says, this is my dance space and this is your dance space. I'm in charge of mine, you're in charge of yours. Don't get in mine, I'm not going to get in yours. And then we can spin, right? That's what they do, they spin. He spins around like crazy, I love that. I don't like the remake, but I love the Patrick Swayze version, I watch it all the time. That's why I quote it like every other week. But it works, right? It works, the religion of dirty dancing. And so it works because you are responsible for your own needs. You are responsible for your emotional well-being. You are responsible for what's going on spiritually within you. You are responsible for your connection to God. And when you are connected, when you are taking care of yourself, then you can show up and hold, not spaghetti arms, you can hold your space. You can hold your space and you can twirl and you can spin and you can have the bliss of life in every moment and every experience. But look at the opposite of that. What happens when we aren't taking care of ourselves? What happens when we aren't processing our own emotion? When we're not taking care of those things that we think are missing in our lives? We blame someone else. I need you to do this and you weren't there for me. I was alone and you didn't show up. Or I asked you to do this and you didn't, and now I'm stuck. You know, we end up getting so upset and so angry when someone else can't fulfill us because they can't. And they never will be able to. And so instead of putting all the pressure on the other person fulfilling us, the idea is to come from the fullness of who we are and to give our gift. And so there's a whole bunch of gifts in the middle. If you picture it, we come from the fullness of who we are, and our gift comes to the center space between us, and the same thing happens with our partner, and the gift comes from between us, and all we've got is a lot of presents. And that works. Instead of trying to grab at straws at nothing. Because if we're trying to take from the other person, if we're trying to fill ourselves from the outside in, there's nothing there. There will be nothing left. And that's why we move into those places of difficulty. I had a spiritual teacher who was convinced that any marriage could be saved. Any relationship could be saved if both parties are committed to doing the work to saving it. That's the caveat. That any relationship can be saved. And I know there's a lot of concepts. Reverend Katherine, you don't know my situation. There was no way that was going to get saved. But knowing that anything is possible, along with the fact that maybe not all relationships were meant to last forever. That's a big deal. That not all relationships are meant to last for 100 years. You know, in the old days, people got married, right? And their lifespans were much shorter. Right? I don't want to say it that way, but I think in the old days, went on to the next experience. It was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work, so, you know. But we're living a whole lot longer now, and the relationships that we have in our youth that are committed and loving and supportive sometimes have their lifespan. They have their lifespan. And then we grow and expand in a different way. And maybe that's okay. There's no judgment on it. It's okay. But the idea is that we make choices and we step forward empowered from that deep relationship with Spirit. And so the idea of creating sacred relationship, and whether you're doing it with your beloved, with your husband or your wife, with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, with your committed partner, with your children, with your neighbors, with your best friends, whoever you're looking at your relationships as being a sacred relationship, we behold the divine within them. We see their wholeness. We see their truth behind all of it. Because let me tell you, we all have our stuff. We all have those places where we believe that we're not enough. We've got pockets of unworthiness, we've got pockets of unlovability, and wherever those messages came from, they came from. If it's your mom, it came from your mom. If it came from, society, whatever, it doesn't matter where it came from, we've all got them. And so what happens is when we hit one of those pockets, our relationship reflects it. So if you hit a pocket of believing that there's no possibility of you being loved, and this is not something that we're conscious of, this happens in our subconscious minds sometimes, so all we feel is the need. All we feel is the unresolved need, that unresolved desire, right? And so when we hit one of those experiences, and then we don't have the fulfillment from the relationship, it just sends us on this downward spiral into more need, into more trying to figure it out, into more trying to get what it is that we need, and we move into our addictive behaviors, right? What's going to make us feel better? And you name it. And chocolate's on it. Sorry, chocolate's on it. So, food, sex, shopping, whatever, TV, whatever it is, it's going to numb you out, feed you, to make you feel a little bit better. Those are the moments when the red flag comes up. I'm avoiding this. And the question is to ask ourselves, what am I avoiding? What's that deep wound inside of me that isn't being filled. And so that's one of our exercises that I put up on our Facebook page last week was to ask love to support us in healing. Just ask. We do a journal exercise where you just ask the power of love to heal what it is that you're wanting to heal. And I hope you're practicing it. I hope you try it this month because it's powerful and it's transformative. As we release those inner wounds, as we let go of those places where we feel separate, that's when the divine love reveals itself to us and through us. And we can move forward from our fullness. And in that, we get that bliss, that joy, that experience of falling in love. Falling in love with your spirit, falling in love with your beloved, falling in love with life. Being lovable, considering ourselves lovable is the most important thing. I'm trying to figure out where I went somewhere else. Let's see where we are.
It's okay.
I know it's okay. I'm not worried about it. You just gotta look at me for a minute. It's fine. I'm kidding. Oh God, what a day we're having. Okay. All right. So if you find yourself in that place where you're looking for love, and I want to remind us all, if you're looking for love in terms of a partner, or you know someone who is, get them into our Monday night Calling in the One class. I keep hammering this because I really want everybody to have what they want, and this program is so amazing that I know it. It's how I manifested my love in my life, and I know that it works, so I just really want you to, if you know somebody, get them in Monday night, because that's the last night to join the class. But because there's that feeling of falling in love where are we? Where was I? Searching. So if you're searching, if you're out looking, if you're the whole idea is if you're feeling like your relationships are not feeding you, if your relationships are not supporting you enough, if you're feeling like there's something lacking in it, it's about being it. That whole idea from Ovid to be loved, to get love, be love, is the idea. To get love, we have to be loved. And so what does that mean? It means allowing ourselves to just be who we are, and allowing the people around us to be who they are and see through their wounds, to see through their negative experiences, to see through all of those things that bug us about everybody around us, to see through to the joy and to the blessing that they are in the world. We have to begin to develop what I call our spiritual eye, to see the presence of God in the people that we meet. How beautiful it is when we can see through the personality, see through the ego, and just be present with someone's heart. And so we're practicing that this month. We're practicing that with our beloveds, we're practicing that with our children, we're practicing that with each other. And allowing the presence and the power of love that is God in action to come through us. I want to remind you that you are made in the image and likeness of God. You are made in the image and likeness of God. The powerful presence, the creator of all life, is alive as you. And not only were you made in the image and likeness of God, we also know that God is love. That's the truth. The power and presence of life is love, and that's God. So this is geometry. If A equals B, then B and B equals C, okay? So we're made in the image and likeness of God, and God is love. That means you are love. There you go. There's some math for you. So I like geometry here, right? Algebra. Did I say geometry? Algebra. Oh yeah, parallelograms. That's geometry. Who knows where we're going today? Okay, algebra. So you are love. It's just pure and simple. And so the idea for this week and the idea for this month is for us to start to see through those eyes of love. To be able to look around our lives, to look at the beloved ones that we're traveling with, and to see spirit alive as them. To lean into our soul's journey, this soul adventure that we're on, to surrender our attachments to how we think it's supposed to look, and to be with the presence of love. And when we do that, when we allow that to happen, what happens is that joy reveals itself in you and as you. And as the poet Rumi said, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. So by living from the sacredness that you are, it becomes easy to see that everything in your life is a perfect reflection of you. It's there to guide and support you in your own growth. And when we engage with life in such a deep and authentic way, everything begins to bring forth the bliss of love. It all begins with sacred relationship. First, it's your relationship with God. Then it's your relationship with yourself. And then it's the relationship with those around you. And when you can align all of those with the powerful presence of love, joy rises. And so the idea for this week is, let's just start dancing. Let's dance in the power and the presence of love, because this is why we're here. And so it is.